You may resist a preacher, you may ignore a sermon, but when the Holy Spirit walks in, your soul knows. Pride crumbles. Fear flees. Everything must bow. Oh, don't you understand? When he comes, nothing stands the same. Let's begin with a proposition. Not just an idea, but a foundation, psychological, spiritual, archetypal. The proposition is this: there exists within the structure of reality a force, not bound by matter or limited to intellect, that when encountered properly, does not merely inspire but commands surrender. The Holy Spirit is that force. It is the breath of God, the divine animating principle, that penetrates through the noise of ego, shatters pretension, and reshapes the soul from the inside out. When the Holy Spirit comes, everything yields, not by force of violence, but by a deeper kind of gravity, truth unveiled. We live in a time where the self has been crowned sovereign. Autonomy is our idol, self-definition our religion. Every voice screams, I am my own authority. But there's something pathological about that, isn't there? You can feel it. The more we insist on controlling everything, our identities, our destinies, our definitions of good and evil, the more fragmented we become. Anxiety rises, depression deepens, meaning escapes, and we wonder why. We tell ourselves we are evolving, but inwardly we are unraveling. Now, imagine something steps in. Not just any something, but someone, a presence that cannot be manipulated, cannot be ignored, and certainly cannot be managed by your intellect or subdued by your preferences. That is the Holy Spirit. The arrival of the Holy Spirit is not just a religious sentiment, it is a reordering of the cosmos within your soul. Everything you thought you controlled must bow, not by coercion, but because it recognizes its rightful master. This is not the yielding of defeat, it is the yielding of recognition. A proper hierarchy is being restored, and we know, don't we, that without hierarchy, chaos rules. It's not freedom when every part of your life demands to be first. That's tyranny. That's slavery dressed in the language of liberty. But when the Spirit comes, he rearranges your inner court. The tyrant ego is dethroned. The rebellious emotions are brought into submission. The chaotic desires are tamed. Why? Because they come into the presence of that which is greater. And in that presence, everything finds its place. There is a peculiar feature in human psychology, something ancient and mysterious, that recognizes transcendence when it encounters it. It's why people fall silent in cathedrals. It's why a baby's birth makes even the hardest man weep. It's why when the Holy Spirit comes, the most hardened heart begins to tremble. Because you're not just dealing with information anymore. You're dealing with revelation. Revelation is disruptive. It's not a gentle pat on the back. It's not a warm feeling that makes you a little nicer for a moment. No, it is cataclysmic. The Greek word for revelation is apocalypsis, an unveiling. When the veil is pulled back, what is hidden is exposed. And that includes you. When the Holy Spirit comes, you see yourself not as you imagine, but as you are. And that vision is often unbearable at first. The pride that was so comforting is revealed to be a prison. The lust that felt like liberty is seen as decay. The bitterness masquerading as righteousness is unmasked as rot. Everything within that stood tall in rebellion begins to fall. This is why everything yields. Because when truth stands up, the lie must sit down. When light enters, darkness does not argue, it flees. The human heart is not designed to resist the Spirit of God. It is not strong enough. Nor should it be. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. To yield to the Holy Spirit is not to lose yourself. It is to find the self that was lost all along. We have this paradox in us, a desire to be free and a longing to be led. We ache for purpose, but despise the path that demands discipline. We want to be rescued, but refuse to surrender, and so the modern soul fluctuates, torn between the yearning for transcendence and the terror of relinquishing control. But when the Holy Spirit comes, he does not force your surrender. He reveals the futility of your resistance. He shows you that your control was an illusion, that your independence was often rebellion in disguise, that your self-definition was ignorance masked as confidence. And when you see that, truly see it, you yield, not in shame but in awe. Think about the natural world. Rivers yield to gravity, seeds yield to the soil, trees yield to the season. Everything that flourishes does so by yielding to something greater than itself. Yielding is not weakness, it is wisdom in action. It is cooperation with reality. And when the Holy Spirit comes, he brings the deepest reality of all. He is not just a power, he is the architect of the human soul, the sculptor of conscience, the whisper behind the word. To yield to him is to realign with design. Now some will say, but what if I don't feel it? What if I don't experience this? And that's a fair question, but the Spirit is not summoned by sentiment. He is not manipulated by emotional music or stirred by religious noise. He comes where there is hunger, not the hunger for blessing, but the hunger for truth, the hunger for righteousness, the hunger for something unshakable. The man who is full of himself will never yield. But the man who sees through himself, who knows the poverty within, will find that the Spirit comes swiftly to those who are empty. And once he comes, the change begins. Not always dramatic, often subtle, but unmistakable. The things you once justified begin to disturb you. The habits you once embraced begin to loosen their grip. The pride you once protected becomes bitter in your mouth. Why? Because the Holy Spirit does not merely comfort. He convicts. He does not flatter. He purifies. And everything in you that does not align with his nature must yield, or it will break. We are told today that to change is to betray yourself, that your feelings are sovereign, that your identity is untouchable. But what if your identity is malformed? What if your feelings lie to you? What if your heart has been conditioned by wounds, traumas, and half-truths? Then the Spirit comes not to erase you, but to restore you, to unlearn the lies, to rewrite the script, to recalibrate the compass. But for that to happen, everything must yield. Even Christ in his humanity yielded. Not my will, but yours be done. The greatest yielding in history was not a moment of weakness. It was the moment the cosmos shifted. The Son of God laid down his will to the Father, and in doing so, he broke the back of sin and death. If he had to yield, how can we, in our arrogance, assume we don't? There is great danger in resisting the Spirit, not because he will strike you down in anger, but because he will let you walk in blindness. He will let you build your tower, speak your slogans, celebrate your strength, until it collapses under its own weight. And when it does, you'll remember there was another way. A way that begins with surrender, a way that begins with yielding. The yielded life is not passive, it is not weak, it is not silent or spineless. It is a life lived under authority, not out of fear but out of trust. The Spirit does not crush you, he lifts you, but he cannot lift what refuses to bow. And so, the first movement of spiritual maturity is this: you yield. You let go of the right to be your own master. You submit your instincts to his voice. You trust his judgment over your feelings. And in that you discover something unexpected: peace. Real peace. Not circumstantial calm, but an inner stillness that does not flinch under pressure. That's the fruit of yielding. And the world needs yielded men and women now more than ever. Not loud people, not proud people, not people addicted to platforms and praise, but people who have been broken by truth and rebuilt by grace. People who do not speak for applause but for alignment. People who do not serve for validation but from conviction. Yielded people, Spirit-led people. They are rare, but they are unstoppable. So I ask you now, not rhetorically but seriously, what in you still resists? What part of your life have you kept off limits to God? What habit, relationship, ambition, fear, or identity stands tall and unbent? That is the part that must yield. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready now. Because the longer you delay, the more that part hardens, and the harder it becomes to hear his whisper. Yield now while your heart is still soft. And no, it won't be easy. Yielding hurts. The ego dies hard. But on the other side of that death is life. Life in the Spirit. Life unshackled. Life anchored in something eternal. That's the promise. That's the reward. That's the call. When the Holy Spirit comes, everything yields. And in that yielding, everything begins. Would you like a short video script, thumbnail text, or caption ideas based on this speech? So then, if there is anything worth yielding to, it is not your fear, not your flesh, not your pride, not your past, but the Holy Spirit himself. For when he comes, he does not diminish you, he defines you. He does not bind you, he breaks your chains. And everything that once stood stubborn in your soul, your ego, your wounds, your illusions, falls silent. Because when truth takes the throne, all falsehood must bow. You were never created to carry the weight of being your own God. You were designed to be filled, guided, governed by him. The greatest strength you will ever know is on the other side of surrender. And the greatest transformation you will ever witness begins the moment you yield. So yield, completely, honestly, and finally. For when the Holy Spirit comes, everything yields. And that's exactly when everything truly begins. Holy Spirit, I bow before you. Not my will, not my pride. I yield everything. Come now, take your place. Breathe into every dry place. Break what resists you. Fill this room, fill this soul. I'm yours completely, forever.